Hi everyone, it's Jenny with Joey and Jenny's Little Yellow House. We're on YouTube and Instagram at Joey143Jenny, and we're on Facebook at Joey and Jenny's Little Yellow House. We hope you'll follow along on those social medias and engage with us. And if you have any ideas or things to share, boy, we'd sure love to see them. I'm taking a little break from paper for just a little bit, and I thought what I would do is get into my lace journal, is what I call it. There might be other things in here like fabric and stuff, but it's just a little journal that I made to put a lot of the little lace pretties that I have. Oh, these are some flowers that I put in. I haven't looked through it in a long time. Sweet. This is a page I think my granddaughter did. My youngest granddaughter. This I haven't put down yet. I haven't sewn that down yet. That needs to go. I say that every time I open this. Maybe I should put it out in the living room where I can work on it. Here's one of the lace crocheted ditties pages. It's fun. Oh, and then this is another one. It looks like I haven't finished that one. I think we might have placed that one on another video. Yeah. Okay, so I need to remember that too. So I have some, it looks like what I do is I have an idea and then I start on it, don't have time to finish it, and then forget about it. And then here is a little house that I did one time. And then a little bit of embroidery here and old rickrack and just some little old embellishments and little Kathy Holden bird. So yeah, that one's fun too. For me, they're fun. This one is stitched over. It looks like this is a fabric flip, so we could put something fun under there. And then another flip on the other side. That's fun. Double flip. Just some pages to journal or to document other projects maybe. I did leave some of these in here to add pages. So like if I decide to embroider or do something, you know, not in the book, which is easier, then I can just attach it to this. Okay, little Edith Holden. And you can sew, you know, to paper. I would use a nice thick paper. This one's pretty thick, but some of the thinner ones. Oh, here's another one we laid out and I didn't do. Wonder if we can just add to these a little bit. Huh. Gosh. Lots of ideas, but no follow through, it looks like. Here's one that I took off of, it looks like maybe a towel. Pardon me, like a tea towel. Somebody had crocheted the end, and I had that in my stuff. Same here, another little crocheted end. Golly, I wonder if I should just, let's add to some of these that need to be secured down, like this one. Let's add to this. Nope, I think this goes under here. Yeah. And then maybe, you know, get that one sewn down, be done with that. What I did was I went through my pin cushion and any of the needles that had thread still on them, I thought, let's just use those up. And then there was a couple of them that I just added a little thread to. So I'll put that over here to use. And I have next to me 4 buckets, and I still have several over on my thing of things, of little laces and different things. And then I also thought, of course, I might not get to this today because these will probably be another project, something that you know, would go on a page that doesn't have anything, but I got these out of my stash too. This was a little like maybe a lamp would have sat on it because it had the other half of that. Might even be in here, I don't know. And then, I don't know if you remember this, we did this with the Junk Journal Studio. Just put that on fabric. So I thought I would use that. But these, look how gorgeous that is. Oof, got to get that in here. These are, I don't know. I want something here, but I don't want to take up the pretty scallops here. So something underneath maybe that's flat. I probably have, this is so beautiful. I probably have that in here somewhere. But it's so pretty on its own. I hate to cover any of it up. Oh, come on. Let's find something. How about this? Ooh, that's pretty. Where does it start? Oh boy. Oh boy. I'm getting all my threads in there. Ugh. Get over there. Okay. How about that? How about we run this down? Let's see, is there... Looks like the back. Run that down. I already have that tucked down. This one done? What's going on here? Is that glue? Okay, it's glue, so... Ooh, yikes. Kind of tore it a little bit. All right, I'm going to pin that. Pin this side, just so I can keep it straight. This will just be something that, you know, one day will be left behind, and someone else can enjoy it if it has more stitching than pins in it. Okay. All right, now let's lift these up. Lightly lift these up. Tuck that under. Okay. Okay. Let's yeah, that's stitched down. Let's cut that. So yeah, so this is not anything, this isn't like, you know, putting lace on a blouse or anything, because it's basically you know, just using scraps and kind of collaging things in. Just to see if this will fit without ruffling up. I'll just take a little bit more off that side. I forgot to pull my trash can around. It's usually I keep it by my desk, but then I can't get out where I pull it, so I kind of scooch it over, and then I can't reach it. It's kind of one of those things. Okay. Okay, so that's that for there. Okay. And then here, there we go. Oopsie, just took that out. Okay. So I think what I'm going to do, it's not super straight, but I think that's okay. I think that looks pretty, I think that looks much better. This one I totally unraveled. Let's get it back together. You can see this, you know, I definitely need some type of organization. One time I did go through and I wrapped them all. I don't like to necessarily put pins in them all because I don't want anything to rust. And I know I know they say stainless, rust proof, but I haven't found that to be 100% with the ones that I've bought. So I don't like to, and I definitely do not like rubber bands. If you've ever had a rubber band get hot and kind of melt to anything, it's not pleasant. So I don't like that. So these longer ones, I just try to figure out a way to keep them to where they don't take up a lot of room. But as you see, I rummage. And so that's a challenge with myself because I'm a rummager. Okay, what color do I want to do this in? I think, what is this? What color is that? I don't know if I have enough of that. Let's do it in, oh, I don't think I have enough of that either. I'm trying to think of something that I have right by me that I can replace. I have brown, so let's do brown. This is a very small one, so we'll definitely have to redo that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in from underneath there somewhere. I don't know if you can, let me see here in a second if I get that down hidden. Take that tail off a little bit. I have to redo that part, but I hope you can see this. And then I'm just going to boy, oh boy, that's in the wrong. I got to get started here. And then I'm just going to take like little teeny tiny, oh, look what I just went through my nail. All right, do-overs. That's not as tiny as I want. Yeah, I just went through that nail. Okay. I'm looking in my camera to see, is there a way I can get you closer? I'm going to try it. Okay. Let's see if that works. Okay, so now my plan is to just take little, almost like seed stitches here. And I don't mind the brown showing. I think it's going to look kind of neat. I just don't want big clunks, of stitching. So I don't mind a little bit of sash showing. Well, come on now. Now, if this wasn't in the book, you could pick it up and stitch, which might make it easier for you. Hope everybody's having a good day and that your Easter holiday was wonderful and blessed. Ours was. I just had like a late lunch and we made sandwiches, croissant sandwiches, and veggies and fruit and some desserts and stuff, and it was nice. It's always nice when I get to see my girls and my grandchildren. I was disappointed my son-in-law was sick and wasn't able to come, and I haven't seen him in a couple of weeks, and I miss on him when I don't get to see him. He's such a strength in our family, such a nice, wonderful man. So always cheers up the place. I get to see him. Brings the sunshine with him. Okay, so this isn't like by any means like some perfection of anything. It's not something you would see like, you know, on a wedding gown. But it is fun. It's fun to see the stitches, I think. And it's a little cruder than if I had this up close to me where um, my old eyes could see it better. But I just want to, more than that, I want to get the lace and stuff in here because I want to be able to flip through and see how pretty it is. So yeah, so it's going to be a little bit crude, but maybe that inspires you that, you know, you don't have to be perfect seamstress to make one of these. And as you see, oh, I'm just tearing that thumbnail up. As you see, you know, I've used like hems off of things, like the hem off of a towel. I think I even have a hem off of a skirt in here. We're expecting severe weather today. Hail, wind, high winds, tornado possibilities, etc., etc. I was gonna take my granddaughter driving. She is going to be 16 next month. So I was going to take her driving, but we decided to postpone since the weather isn't going to be favorable. It's an interesting thing with tornadoes. I don't know if anyone else is kind of in that kind of that type of weather environment where you have the threat of that. We have the threat of it every spring and every fall. I'm not sure why we don't have it in the summer. I'm not sure what all causes a tornado, but we do get the threat in the spring and fall, and have had tornadoes. We've been very fortunate to not have lost anything to our tornadoes, so feel very blessed with that. But yeah, I helped with a tornado cleanup one time. Okay, so I'm gonna just cut that. I put that underneath there just to lock it in a little bit. Okay, so now we have a little bit of brown there. Yeah, so and one thing that I noticed, I went 2 different times to help clean up this for this tornado. It took so many people to help. And I was just part of a very small group. I went one time on my own with a ministry I created years ago, and I could tell you about that later, but in a little bit. But okay, so this one is a little bit of a chartreuse color. Let's try that for this. But I went one time with Convoy of Hope, and that time we did what we did was we were clearing debris, but a lot of the large debris from the houses had been cleared. And so what we were doing, the group that I went with, what we were doing is we were trying to locate, we were sorting. It's an interesting way that they go about it. It's probably very similar to other national disasters, is you sort things like items. So wood in a pile, metal in a pile, trash in a pile, stuff like that. Trees in a pile, limbs, things. But what we were doing is we were looking for personal items. So photographs, jewelry, anything that was the person's personal, that was salvageable. That's what we were also helping to find. I know everyone says we're just so lucky to be alive, and that is the truth. When you see the devastation of something like that, You just think we're blessed to be alive. Anyone that has, we weren't in that storm, but anyone that was in the storm, says stuff like that. But it is nice to be able to recover something from your life and photographs. Now things are saved to your phone, which is great. It wasn't as much back then, but some, we did have internet and things like that. So but it is nice, to find, oh, we found like a pretty dresser mirror, somebody's dresser mirror. And what we did was there's this, like a cul-de-sac or a drive or something. And there were a bunch of tables set up. And as we found things, we would clean them off and put them on this big table so that people could come and try to recover some things that were theirs. It was quite something. So the first time I went was the first major tornado near us within driving distance that, I had experienced. And this has been almost maybe 15 years ago, because I remember my granddaughter was very young and she had this bunny rabbit, this stuffed bunny. Everybody called it Bun. And she still has that bunny. It's very special to her. And just like most children have, a special stuffed animal or something, that was hers. So everywhere she went, in the car, anywhere, grocery store, what have you, she had this bunny. Make sure you can see where we're at here. So when I was thinking, how can I help? What can I do? I think sometimes we think that, and many times it's prayer, because we can't always go to these places, right? So your prayer is helpful in thinking about what a person might need or go through or whatever. Now let's go down here and get that stitched down. But I thought I was a new grandma at the time, and I thought, what would make a difference? So I'll see if you can see this. Where am I? I'm trying to find you on the video. So I created this ministry called Operation Bunny. And basically what it was is gathering new stuffed animals for children that were affected by this tornado. Because now this one, I'm not going to be too concerned about hiding the tail of this, because it's going to be under here. I'm just trying to figure out, I'm in my own way here. Because I started thinking about what would be the one thing my granddaughter, mom and dad are definitely people, that you love, are definitely the most important, but what else for a little one would be important? And then I started thinking, if my granddaughter, if all else was gone that she was accustomed to, her bedroom and whatever, and her bunny was gone, she would have a very hard time getting comfortable anywhere else. And so I started thinking about these children who, maybe they lost their bunny, or as we call them, guys, maybe they lost their guy, their stuffy, or whatever you want to call it. And so I took up, collection. We got a ton. We had so many. People are so good, So in the midst of me gathering these, I had 3 young women that asked if they could go with me to distribute them. And I was like, yes, that would be amazing. So we went, we drove to this town, and I mean, you find people helping everywhere. It's, you don't have to look far for people that are helping. And we just asked, hey, we have these stuffed animals to give to children. Where could we give them? Well, first we started driving around the neighborhood, but children weren't really out and about in the neighborhoods, unless they were older children. We did find some that were probably 7 and 8 helping at their house picking up stuff, but for the most part, and so we would stop and let them pick out a stuffed animal. They were so happy. They were they were happier than I anticipated, you know. Um it was very emotional. Very emotional. It was emotional for their folks too. Uh but anyways, so then someone said, well, they have a makeshift daycare at the university gymnasium. So then we went over to there. And of course, you know, whenever there's children and you know, like that, there's a lot of security and protection around that. But we were able to leave them. And then the girls and I mean, you know, this was years ago when I was stronger and younger, you know. But then the girls and I were able to spend the rest of the day while we were there. I mean, you know, we're already there. Spend the rest of the day cleanup. Was amazing. I just couldn't believe stuff. There we worked on this one neighborhood where there were these two houses, you know, when you have two houses next to each other and then you have that yard runway and then you have two houses, you know, the backs meet each other in the runway and then streets on both sides. Well, the street that we were working on, the two houses, okay, let's just say this. Here's a house, backyards, house, street, street. Okay, and then this is just grass. Well, over in this area, way up here, was like a mall or a strip mall or something like that. And one of the those huge trash containers, you know, where the big trucks come and hook in to them and dump them. Well, one of them had flew, however, and wedged between these two houses. It just landed like that and wedged right here. So while that was convenient for cleanup, you know, because then we had our very own dumpster, it was not convenient for trying to figure out how they were going to remove that. I don't know how they did it. Okay, so now I've got this little loop here, which I'm not sure how I did that. Maybe a little knot? Probably a little knot that I didn't see. Okay, I'm going to pause and try to get that knot out. Be right back. Okay, I'm back. That thing was a little stinker. Took me a little while to get it out. So I went ahead and just finished that up. Now I'm just going to sew this little guy down. I think I'm just going to go in through the back here. Oh, one thing I was going to tell you about that experience. A couple of things. One, it was so dirty. I mean, as you can only imagine. You're just absolutely filthy. Pretty much make sure you have your tetanus caught up when you do something like that, because you never know what you're going to run into. I don't like the way that looks. But another thing is, when we were doing that cleanup, gathering people's anything that we could find that was left of their personal items, that was worth keeping, that was not so damaged that we couldn't tell what it was. Okay, what is going on here? I don't know why that is having. We got so many layers here, I can't get this through. There we go. One thing that I noticed is all the houses, what was still standing of all the houses that we worked on? And I'm talking these houses were taken down to the nothings. But the one thing that was still standing in all of the houses was the hot water heater. The little barricade that, people make for that. Oh, use that book to help get that through. And I'm guessing it's because, a lot of times they're on an inside wall, maybe for insulation or location to, the rest of the house. I don't know. I don't know how it all works. But the hot water heater was still standing. Now, our hot water heater here, of course, we live in a house that's close to 120 years old. I think it's like 117 or 18. I have to look. This one's fraying a little bit. Our hot water heater is on an outside wall, which cracks me up. I don't know anything about hot water heaters, but that was one thing that I noticed from this cleanup. So I don't know if I'm trying to think of other houses that I've lived in, and the house I lived in before Joey and I got married, the hot water heater was in the hallway, so that in the inside hallway, so that would make sense. So that would also be true for that one. When Joey and I got married, where was our hot water heater? Oh, our hot water heater was in the garage up against, that really thick brick wall. Of course, that wouldn't have been a place that we would have gone to, although the entrance where that was would have been our safest place to go there at that house, so that makes sense. So I don't know what it is about the hot water heater and where they locate it that kind of makes it be the place. But at our house here, that is definitely not the case. So maybe it's newer houses post 120 years old. So a lot of chat about that, but yeah, so we're expecting all that to say we're expecting severe weather today. And it's an interesting thing. When I had children at home, when my girls were at home, I was a lot more concerned about it. But now that I don't have children at home, I do take, I'm cautious and I take precautions, but I'm not as nervous about it as I used to be. Now, maybe if I was over, with my grandchildren, maybe I would be a little bit more nervous about it. But being here by myself, I'm not nervous about it. When my girls were little, I always made them, as soon as we would hear the tornado siren, I would have them get their shoes and socks and shoes on, and a jacket, And this is sometimes even, some of the time was even before cell phone. Most of the time was before cell phones. Get a jacket, and I would get water, and we would make a bed in the hallway that I was telling you about that had the hot water heater. And yeah, we would sleep like that till it was an all clear, which was usually 4 hours. Usually it's about a 4 hour span ish. We'd all sleep in the hallway on a makeshift bed, what we called a pallet bed. Pallet had these big comforters, really fluffy. Do you guys remember those? Real puffy comforters. Can't say it. Put those on the bottom, and then cover up with a lightweight blanket. But I just always wanted them to have their socks and shoes on, because debris from a tornado, can cause injury. So I wanted them to be able to walk, afterwards, if, our house somehow didn't survive, because we have had tornadoes in neighboring towns. Now, they weren't, well, some were somewhat severe as they laid down, as the tornado touched, but it didn't do as much damage as the place that I had gone to help. Like it would take, here it's been like a house or two, just a quick touch. But even then, you don't want to walk around, you don't want your children walking around in broken glass, or, sometimes there's a nail or whatever. So always wanted them to have socks and shoes and a little jacket to protect their arms. And they always had their little guy with them, whatever they're sleeping with. So I remember one tornado around not too far from here, a friend of mine, it was the wildest thing. I went over to see it. It literally picked the house up, pivoted it like a foot, and set it back down. So when you would go over to her house, like right afterwards, it looked like this. Let me see if I can find a piece of paper and show you. Pretend that's a rectangle. Here's her platform, or her what's it called, foundation, and this was her house. It had just rotated it slightly. So when you went into her house and you look up at the ceiling, you could see, or the roof was, part of the roof was off. You could see where it was slanted. It was really wild. Never seen anything like that. Anyway, so yeah, figure out what is the best place for you to be during your national, whenever you guys have these severe weathers, or even if you're not in a severe weather area, but you have like earthquakes or whatever. What is your protocol? If you're younger and you're in your first place, or you just moved or whatever, figure that part out. It's important. Now, when my girls were little, we also had this hall closet, which would have also been somewhat of a good place. It did have the security of the stairs. It was under the stairs closet, but it was also had an outside wall on part of it, so it wasn't great. But every spring that thing got cleaned out in case we needed it. Now, another thing, the ones in the fall really surprise me. In the spring, for some reason, I expect severe weather like that, rain wise, but I don't expect it as much in the fall. And we have had tornadoes in our area. As close to like one touched down on Black Friday. And they say the reason, I mean, and it was pretty bad. They say the reason that there weren't as many people impacted was because many of them were out shopping. Back then, you went out to shop on Black Friday. Okay, how are we doing on this? How are we doing on time? Okay, I think we can get this guy down, and then we'll have a whole page done. I had planned on doing a new page. I didn't realize I had all these pages that I hadn't finished. I'm just tacking this guy down with this pretty green. This is that green thread I bought last week. Thought it was really pretty. I've used it to sew some journal cards, and it turns out really pretty. I like to use brown and black and white and cream, and if I'm doing something that has a color to it, like when I've made some for the grandchildren, and if they have a favorite color, I like to use that in the cards. But for the most part, I like to do a muted one, and this green is so pretty on a card. So I'm also getting ready to do Retro Roxy Wednesday. I watched a video that she did, and it looks really fun. I'm not even kidding with you. I watched it 3 times to try to remember how to do it. So hopefully I'm going to link, when I do it, I'm going to link her video, so that if mine is as clunky as it could be, you'll be able to go over to hers and watch the real deal. But I think it's going to be fun. And I feel like we've made something similar to it before. So I don't know if I've done this one before or not. If I did this challenge back when she first aired it. Because this one will also be coming from 2021, I think. If you don't want to, or don't like to, or don't know how to sew, it's okay. You can glue this down too. If you have some Fabri-Tac, some really good fabric glue, you can do that. I hear the birds chirping, chirping, chirping. They're probably alerting each other. I'm just reminiscing in my mind about how wonderful Easter was. It was such a beautiful day, you guys. It was like 70 something. And mostly sunny. Oh, and I was going to tell you, so a couple years ago, Joey's mom brought this gnome. I might have mentioned this before. Oh, it's about 8 to 10 inches tall, and it's just a garden gnome. I'm not big on gnomes, but this one's pretty funny. And she hid it back in our acreage. And now we have paths out in the back. We call them the back 2 instead of the back 40. And we have paths. Joey has created paths back there. He's kind of expanded on what was already there, and he keeps it so nice. And anyway, so the thing about it is, it needs to be to where you don't have to stray from the path too much, because we do get poison ivy, poison oak, and we also don't want it's for the kids to do. We don't want the kids to, um, you know, get into something where there's a bunch of snakes or something. So needs to be, you know, think through it where you're putting it. Okay. Well, anyways, so the game is somebody hides it, which first was Joey's mom. She hid it first a couple years ago. And then whoever finds it gets to hide it. So I mean that's the game. And you get bragging rights too. So yesterday for Easter, Joey hid it, and then he also hid it with it an Easter egg that he put $5 in. Well, the kids didn't know that. They just knew that there was something special this time. And I mean to tell you, we looked and looked and looked for that thing. I was exhausted. So after an amount of time of the grandkids and I looking back and forth, around and around and around we went and backtracked. Like we went one way on the path and then we went the opposite way on the path. I mean, we were all over the place. Here comes my girls. They're getting in the hunt, trying to figure it out. So we're out there. I don't even know how much longer we were out there. And then here comes the guys. And so I guess Joey had given a hint. Something about it. I think he must have given a hint about it being near the creek. Because off they headed for the creek. And my grandson found it. He was so happy. It was pretty funny. Of course, the major disappointment of all the other grandkids, but so then he gets to hide it. Now, I don't know if anyone found it when he hid it. I had to come in. I was sweating. I was so hot. Once you get back there with the tree cover, it's like a what do I want to say? It's kind of like a rainforest. I mean, it is just so dewy back there. So yeah, I was like, I gotta get out of here. Oh my gosh, the girls looked so cute. They had their Easter dresses on and oh, so beautiful. Beautiful. The boys had already changed. They had changed into their sports shorts and t-shirts and stuff. Still handsome though. And then we have a big, I'm just yakking today, aren't I? And then we have a big measuring stick, it's a 2x4 really. That's 7 feet tall, maybe. And we measure the kids against it. Oh my gosh. We got that thing out and measured the kids. Since the last time we measured them, they have grown so much. So much. I mean, I think my grandson, I need to go and put the tape measure to it. I think my grandson's over 6 foot now. He is so tall. I asked him if he enjoys being tall. I don't know. I'm so short. I don't know if people enjoy being tall. I never think about it. I don't mind being my height. But he said, there's good things and bad things. I said, oh, there are. And I said, what's the bad thing about it? He said, oh, my mom calls me all the time to get stuff she can't reach. I'm just taking this all the way through here and I'll cut it off. And I said, yeah, I would be doing that too. I would be saying, can you come get this? All right, so I think this one is probably close to being done. And I don't know how much you saw of it. I don't know if I was on camera at all. But I'm happy that that one's almost, I think, done. And I don't, okay, so here is the, where are we? The crazy stitching here. But you know what? I don't even mind it. I think it's fun. Did I make that into a pocket? No. That would have been fun. Did I glue that? Or did I stitch it? I think I glued that. It's cute. Well, we got one finished, and that's about it. But I'm happy with it, and I'm glad you were able to come along while I did it. Trying to get you back out. There we go. Okay, everybody. Thank you so much for hanging out with Story Time with Jenny. And while I finish this one page, now I'll move on to another page, see what I can do. Just remember that we pray blessings over you, and we want you to know that you're so loved. So we'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.